This presentation aims to reflect on the experiences that Team Hawks encountered and the personal and group impacts during the 30-hour challenge at Skern Lodge. Leadership is a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. There are 4 styles of leadership, as discussed by Hershey and Blanchard: directing, coaching, supporting and delegating. Team Hawks displayed more of a supporting leadership by facilitating and supporting people's efforts towards task completion and sharing the responsibility for decision making. This will be further evidenced throughout the presentation and whether one single style of leadership is suitable for all situations. Belbin team roles are used to identify people's behavioural strengths and weaknesses in the workplace. This information can be used to build productive working relationships, select and develop high-performing teams, raise self-awareness and personal effectiveness, build mutual trust and understanding, and aid in recruitment processes. A team should be put together for a specific purpose. Each team member should be chosen to ensure the correct balance of skill and behaviour is achieved.
Hi, my name is Alice and my Belbin role is Innovator.
Hello, my name is Ponung and my Belbin role is Organizer.
Hi, my name is Tanya and my Belbin role is Team Worker.
My name is Ellie and my Belbin role is Team Worker.
Hi, my name is Donald, my Belbin role is Innovator.
I'm Danielle and my Belbin role is Shaper.
Hi, my name's Nikki. I am part of Team Hawks and my Belbin assigned role was Leader.
The first morning activities, Am I Daydreaming, saw Nikki, who possesses the ability to influence the others as she has the leadership traits and presence to drive the group to try and succeed to reach the common goal. Perhaps this is due to being more extrovert, forward-thinking, competent and confident. Although at this point Nikki did show more leadership traits, different activities did show distributed leadership where others did speak up at different tasks. For example, Nikki was unhappy with the high rope activities, so took a step back and another team member stepped forward. At this point the group was showing a democratic style of leadership whereby all the views within the team were heard and considered and the best idea was taken forward. However, this changed throughout the morning. The group at times lacked in communication when discussing ideas for tasks and problem solving. For example, the electric fence activity required the group to get over the landmines and over the electric fence in 15 minutes with a ladder, wooden plank, rope and barrel. This task showed a lack of leadership. Due to no leadership, immediate action to solve a problem will not happen, and it becomes harder to diagnose and analyse as no one takes control. In order to have overcome this, a member of the team that felt comfortable should have been delegated as the leader, who listens to the ideas of team members and then decides on the final decision. As we were being timed, we panicked, we didn't listen, and the task was not complete. The forming, storming, norming, performing model of group development was first proposed by Bruce Tuckman in 1965, who maintained that these plans are all necessary and inevitable in order for the team to grow, to face up to challenges, to tackle problems, to find solutions, to plan work and to deliver results. This would have ensured that the team developed a mutual plan to achieve the desired goals. Some may have had to have given up their own ideas and agree with others to make the team function, but it is essential to become a high-performing team and therefore to have succeeded throughout the whole 30 hours. The first morning's activities impacted me by making me realise my Belbin role as a team worker was correct. I felt I supported others and remained enthusiastic. I also learnt I could overcome my fear when tackling the tunnel activity with the support of the group. I felt I did not show leadership traits, but perhaps more of a participative follower, where I was engaged with what was happening and was interested, but I did not take the lead.
Our team's first major turning point was when we received the results from the morning activities. By coming last, we had not performed as well as we expected, and this shock negatively affected our team's attitude, behavior, and consequently our motivation and performance. We became disheartened and began to distrust the way the system worked, questioning whether it was worthwhile to make an effort as well as questioning the instructor's capabilities. Similarly to Tolman's 1930 expectancy theory, which states that an individual's strength of motivation can be affected by the expectations of outcome from certain actions. And so we became extremely demotivated and resolved ourselves to not winning or strongly competing in the challenge. As a result, we diminished our expectations so we would not be disappointed by the outcome. The walk to the bridge really put pressure and tested our level of commitment to the tasks. We began to separate and not walk as a team, and started to concentrate on our individual needs and goals as opposed to the team's. For example, the team separated. 3 members were walking in front and were possibly wanting to satisfy the need to reach the bridge first, whereas the other 4 were not really bothered about reaching the bridge first. This resulted in some of the members resenting the fact that they had to wait for the others. This situation was further enhanced by the lack of clear instructions from Vic, who did not emphasize the importance of arriving first as we would gain more points. This emphasized our need to further question her capabilities and made it seem like we were at a disadvantage to the other teams. Consequently, the other teams overtaking us acted as a catalyst on our current low morale. What we lacked was a leader who could have stepped up and given us positive feedback, helped us feel competent as well as giving us overall value towards what we had achieved. Looking back, what we failed to take into account was the expectation for us to go over and beyond the minimum requirements. We aimed mostly to complete the 10 tasks stated and the points required so we wouldn't have to carry extra luggage, as opposed to aiming to win by a large margin. Our change in behaviour and attitude was further enhanced when we arrived at the bridge. We became disjointed and mainly concentrating on satisfying our own individual goals. We failed to be aware of some of the team members struggling to complete the bridge jump. 5 members of the team did the jump and did not notice until after that they got out of the water that 2 had not. I was one of the 2, and as a result I felt like my fears were not important enough to consider, and so failed to get support or sympathy. I can argue to say that I felt unappreciated, and as a result saw no reward and benefit in completing the 4 tasks. With the addition to being cold, wet and angry, we were just preparing for our ultimate low point.
Just after the bridge jump, we moved into where we had to prepare the dinner. In the beginning, we were fine, but as we sat down for a while, and it was getting cold and we were getting hungry, everyone seemed to not to be bothered to start, so I went to find water, gas, and matchi, and start to cook. Some of it helped, and eventually we could eat and have some tea and coffee. We could observe some sign of resistance to the change, for example, some saying that the change was not necessary, as well as changes impossible to achieve. Johnson's 4 rooms of change theory could be applied to this situation. So the change was made, but everyone was in the different stages. Some of us stayed in denial room because some showed belief that the problem is not ours. On the other hand, others were in a confusion stage where there was depression, frustration, lack of direction. However, some were relatively quick to move into the next stage, and whereas others stayed in denial and confusion stage longer. According to what Yuko suggested, people's reaction to the change is different, depending on their confidence about dealing with changes successfully, and the confidence tends to come from their previous experience. I think my personal experience in Navy for 2 years and traveling alone really helped me to adapt the situation more quickly than the others. This can be the reason why I was able to move forward to take control of the situation. By this part, I realized the experience is really important. Although the task seemed to be really difficult to achieve, it is always worth trying, and I also learned that others' reaction can be different to mine because I didn't understand why everyone got so depressed. Also, I learned that there is need of a leader who can see the problem and help others to move into the renewal room of Change House.
The final part of the first day's activity was aptly named I Wish I Was Dreaming. We were given a map which indicated all areas where the activities were and also where the stores were located. In line with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I suppose we kind of had reached one of the first 3 stages in that we'd eaten, we felt safe, and we were united as a team, though we had no sense of achievement. In fact, all of our competitiveness had died long ago. So if we look at the team during this section of the exercise, we were not and could not achieve overall motivation. Any motivation came in short bursts but fizzled out very quickly. During the exercise, our team did change roles on many occasions. As leader, according to Belbin's theory, I was particularly unmotivated. However, this did mean that other members of the team could come forward during the walk. For example, Bon led us to the stores by reading the map. When we reached the stores, we had a group discussion, and Ellie, Bon and myself persuaded the rest of the team that we could go on and at least attempt a few of the activities, regardless of the rest of the team wanting to sleep. Though not everyone was happy with this decision, as a team we aimed to complete a challenge to achieve some sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. An element of servant leadership became apparent on reflection in that when we reached the Ludo challenge, as the apparent leader, according to Belbin, I read the task description to the group and said that I didn't actually want to give directions. Ellie then took the lead and by working with the rest of the group completed the task very quickly and very well. Overall, if we look at emotional intelligence, although we were aware of the tasks being a challenge and that they were doable, we couldn't separate our attitudes from our feelings. According to the 3 zones of experience, we were between stretch and panic, and there were tears and there were outbursts. All we wanted to do was sit down, eat and sleep. However, the inability to do this impaired our usual rational way of processing information, problem solving, thinking and moving forward. However, we did complete 3 tasks that night, which we were extremely pleased with this effort and the transformation of the group when we were finished.
Nighttime brought additional struggles to a team that were already struggling. The task, entitled I Wish I Was Dreaming, really made the team wish they were somewhere else. The longevity of the challenge was taking its toll, as we were realising that even though we'd been up and competing for more than 15 hours, rest was not imminent and the challenge was only halfway through its completion. It became obvious as the hours went on that fatigue was starting to kick in for the majority of the group, though the ways in which each individual member dealt with this could vary greatly. Speeds lessened and there was a significant decline in conversation, particularly positive conversation. Complaints started to be voiced about the general nature of the challenge, why it was unenjoyable, and the ways in which each team member thought it could be improved. The team, being driven by specific needs and tasks set by the organisers, found it difficult to adapt to the different emotional capabilities of each other member, and cracks in the dynamic of the team therefore began to show. It seemed common practice for many of the members of the team to play down the impact of fatigue that they were experiencing in order to maintain group morale. It therefore seemed important for other team members to monitor each other for signs of stress or tiredness, and create an optimistic feel within the group. It was in these moments that certain individuals emerged into leadership roles, taking charge of group morale, whilst the rest of the group chose to remain as followers. We were working, mixing and communicating with each other as a team, whilst unconsciously bringing our own personal cares, concerns and agendas into the situation with us. These cares and concerns, which may have not been made evident at the start of the challenge, began to emerge as everyone became more frustrated with the situation. A gradual divide began to develop, separating those who were fiercely struggling with fatigue and those who were coping in a much more productive way. This divide highlighted the contrasting priorities between the team members, half of which wanted to stop attempting the task and sleep, whilst the other half were ready to persevere and achieve more before we went in search of a place to rest. This divide gradually started to become a frustration for those who wanted to carry on, as those who wanted to stop the task and sleep were becoming increasingly less responsive. There was no clear underlying goal for the group, and this created a somewhat hostile environment, surprisingly the first of which, considering all the stressful situations we had been placed throughout the day. It can be understood that the physical exertions of the day may have caused mental fatigue, resulting in a reduction in goal-directed attention. Attention is a key feature of dynamic human behaviour, and the lack of attention given to the task by many of the team members directly influenced any positive group dynamic that was so far in place. The refusal to be allowed sleep by the challenge organisers really created anger within the group, and from this individuals started to emerge and take control of the situation. This highlights a theory that power is a situational concept. In correspondence of this, the emerging leaders were able to increase relationship behaviour and reduce task behaviour as team members began to follow in hopes of accomplishing the tasks, which then would allow for sleep. Personally, I found this challenge to be a hugely difficult and testing time. The physical and mental fatigue really took its toll, and as a person with a generally positive and optimistic outlook on situations, I found it hard to be this way, especially in the latter half of the challenge. The lack of sleep was a major issue, causing a mental block where I could not focus properly on the task at hand, frustrating the other members. I also found it much easier to slip into a followership role, feeling that because I was not knowledgeable about the subject and the task, that I did not have the right authority to take charge.
After the nighttime challenges and a few hours sleep, we rode back to the bridge rather than walking. This meant a change of scenery and a refreshing change to walking. We also got to rest our feet and sit down. This put us in a better mood with more positive attitudes. The impact of this meant we worked better as a team. Until we got overtaken by another group, this dropped motivation and people didn't see the point trying to keep up. Eventually we started getting tired. This put us out of sync with the rowing and people started getting annoyed with each other. People also started falling asleep. In an effort to bring the spirits back up with the group, Ellie initiated timings of the rowing, and other members joined in. This showed supportive leadership and let the team know that their achievements were being noticed and feelings were acknowledged. Ellie showed high sportive and low directed behaviour to bring the group together. After the rowing, it was finally time for breakfast. However, this was accompanied by a small pack of quizzes. Alice took control of most of the quiz questions, briefed the group on the tasks, and handed them out while people were eating. People chose the quizzes they thought most suited them, and Alice was left with the rest to make sure all tasks were attempted. This showed functional leadership. This theory argues that the leader's main job is to see whatever is necessary to the group needs is taken care of. Thus, a leader can be said to have their job done well when they have contributed to the group's effectiveness and cohesion. As this method of leadership is simple, it suited the group at the time. As the group were eating breakfast and relaxing after the rowing, a simple, easy and clear style of leadership was needed, and therefore created a relaxed, calm atmosphere within the group. After the breakfast quiz, there was more tasks to complete. These were smaller than all the previous challenges, and a chance to change the leaderboard, as these challenges could possibly gain higher points. As we adapted our leader depending on the different strengths throughout the small group, this meant that there was no clear leader that emerged, and with each small task, the member more suited to the type of skill took control. Brenner 2007 explains that the lack of interest and boredom unmotivates members. As the leadership role changed regularly, the Hawks were kept on their toes and more alert, improving motivation. However, as there was no clear leader, confusion and ambiguity can occur if there is no one to fill the role in a particular situation, or if communication is not effective. Several researchers argue that effective team coordination depends upon the emergence of a shared mental model. Shared mental models refer to the common understanding established through experience among team members regarding collective behaviour patterns during team action. This is extremely important when the role of leader changes within a group and there is a short time limit to achieve the task, as it can reduce time to process and communicate the roles within the activity. When such models are shared among team members, they may be better able to anticipate each other's actions and reduce the amount of processing and communication required during the team performance. As the team had spent so many hours together working on tasks, we were each familiar with each other's strengths and could anticipate each other's behaviour, which meant we knew how to process information efficiently within the group.
Once our morning activities were completed, there was a chance to rest, and the team noticed that there was only a short amount of time before the end of the challenge. A false sense of optimism meant that we believed we may be given a lift back to Skern Lodge. This was not the case, as we were informed that we had one final race, a 3.5-mile walk back to camp. This caused the team to be extremely demotivated and annoyed. After being reminded by a member of the group that returning to Skern meant a warm shower and hot meal, the team perked up and were ready to complete this final task of our 30-hour challenge. We had spent the majority of the challenge working as a team and completing tasks to the best of our ability, so we tackled this task in exactly the same way. The team were fairly quiet and distant upon beginning the walk back, but words of encouragement were offered when they were deemed necessary. Bond took charge of the map reading, and although there was a lack of communication, meaning the majority of the team had no idea where we were or where we were going, he was trusted to lead us back to Skern. During the walk back, we came across friends of Vic, our team supervisor. A member of the team tried to convince Vic's friends to give the team a lift back to Skern. However, Ellie mentioned that we would feel a greater sense of achievement if we completed the challenge on foot. The team made the decision to carry on, and it's fair to say that completing the walk on foot resulted in a greater sense of satisfaction felt by the team. With no wrong turns and a fairly easy route having been selected, we made it back to Skern Lodge in good time and were pleasantly surprised to find that we were the 5th team to return. Throughout the course of the 30 hours we had maintained 7th place, so finishing 5th on the final race was a positive way to end. Overall, a huge sense of achievement and team pride was felt upon completion of the challenge. This activity showed me that perseverance and teamwork can lead to a huge sense of satisfaction felt personally and by a team. It also became apparent that not only did we bond as a team, but by the end of this challenge we had developed friendships too. This may be as a result of working in such a tight-knit group through a series of difficult tasks. In reflection, the team were able to identify multiple strengths. These included humour. We were able to reflect on entertaining experiences that had taken place throughout the day. An example of this is when the team played Jingle Bells with instruments made out of twigs, leaves and tree stumps. We worked well as a team and showed camaraderie, supporting members of the team as they struggled with motivation and drive to carry on. Encouragement was offered where necessary in an attempt to motivate each other to complete tasks. For example, when we were completing the final walk back to camp, members of the team reminded each other that upon completion we would be able to shower and have a hot meal. This in itself was motivation to complete the challenge. As a whole, the team were very understanding when certain members did not want to complete certain tasks. Further to this, the team was supportive of those members that took part in tasks even when they were afraid. This is a strength in itself, as we were lucky to have members that were willing to try to overcome their fears. Luckily, there were a few leaders that arose, meaning that pressure was not put on one person to constantly remain positive. The leaders included Nikki, Ellie and Danny. Ellie remained positive most of the time. Nikki and Danny's motivation, however, raised and dipped, but seemed to interlink so that there were two motivators at any one time. Even when members of the team wanted to give up, it only took a few words of encouragement and they would be willing to carry on. Through perseverance, we were able to complete the 30-hour challenge and felt a huge sense of team pride when we were finished.
The team identified several weaknesses throughout the challenge. The ambiguous task created a lack of self-confidence within each member. The team lacked competitiveness after the disappointments of each round. The team found it difficult to get on with the Skern Lodge employee that accompanied them on the challenge. In reflection, we feel we misinterpreted her role within the team. We assumed she was there to give us motivation, and therefore when we did not receive this, we acted negatively towards her. In reality, she was there as a safety figure, and we were responsible for motivating ourselves. Each failed experience was a demotivation for the team, and we did not plan enough.
On reflection, the 4 styles of leadership model has shown us that one type of leadership is not suitable for all situations. Instead, a leader should direct, coach, support and delegate at the appropriate times.